Welcome to class number 6 in the Sixth Sense, which is the last one today. And we studied last time about the guardian angels, how they allow our spiritual consciousness to exist and show us the right direction, the right choices, and seeing things right. And we learned last time also about the aura. Anybody have interesting stories, something that happened to you seeing the aura? Please share. Yes? It means you couldn't get to see your husband's aura, and you have to try hard. That's very interesting. But what we shared here is that it might take some more efforts. Some people it's easy to see their aura. It's clearer, it's brighter, comes out. Some people it's not. But practicing, the more you practice, the more chance there is you're going to see. So that's the lesson for us, basically, to practice more and try more. Yes. All right. Any interesting story? Yes, please.
Do you ever see aura? Aura is usually coming from people around them, shape. You ever see like a band straight across?
If I will have to tell you everything I see, this hour will not be enough. But you want to maybe share something about what you see?
Looking up there, and just band one, long one, purple, across. It was when Robert to the beat. First I saw it over near him, but not just around him, like a bar like this, coming across from him.
Wow.
And I thought, what are you doing? And then when he went over to the beam, I looked again, and it was there clear over everyone.
That's amazing.
Not just around him. This.
That's amazing.
Yeah. No, that's possible.
That is definitely possible. And again, I would emphasize, believe in what you see. And don't let your logic mind tell you that it's not, or maybe it's the light, or maybe it's something else. Don't. You see things that belong to the 99% reality, and they are real. And especially what you saw, especially when it's the Rav, especially when it's purple, and you see things, and those things will become more and more, as long as you trust it more and you open more to it, you will see more. So please go for it. Okay? Thank you for sharing. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. All right. I'm sure there's more stories. I'm sure many of you see things. Some are more extreme, some maybe less. It doesn't matter. Every one of us have his own or her own process of seeing things. I get a lot of questions. People watch on New Kabbalah, they watch the Sixth Sense, and they send many questions, and it's obvious that you will have many questions from what you see. So don't hesitate. If you can ask me, if you can get to me, ask your teacher. If your teacher won't be able to answer, I'm sure they go to their teacher and they'll ask their teacher, and eventually you'll get your answers. All right? So I'm happy to hear, what you see. I'm happy to know that things happen for you, and that makes me really happy. This is really, that part of Kabbalah, beyond the knowledge, beyond the logical explanations, a little more, kind of experiential. And that's what we do expect from Kabbalah to give us. When you practice Kabbalah, you want things to go beyond. Today, I would like to share with you, because it's our last session, and I'm sure that we can study this over years, these things. But you get the tools and then you practice them. And I would like to share today about the ultimate ability to see things. And that would refer to angels and Elijah the prophet. So I'd like to share those two concepts with you today. Two amazing concepts. that are really the ultimate sixth sense abilities. So the stuff we spoke about, the signs that we spoke in the beginning, different signs, messages, those are important definitely, and they mean a lot. But eventually we want to get to the angels, and we want to get to Elijah the prophet. So the first question that I would like to ask, speaking about communicating with angels, is there really angels? That's the first question that most people would ask. I mean, are there really angels? How do you know? How do you know that there are angels? How many of you ever in life saw an angel? Okay, I didn't expect that. That is very nice. This is very nice. I mean, it's like, I would say at least 25% of the class. So this is very nice. I have to share with you my own personal experience of how I got to see angels. I really didn't realize at first that it is about angels, and I only heard them at first. And it was in Israel. I went with someone that come from Los Angeles. He was visiting in Israel, and I was requested to take that individual that is very famous celebrity to one of those special Kabbalistic sites where you go downstairs, many stairs. You go in a cave, like very, very deep in. And there are few Kabbalists buried there. Two of them was always known to argue about everything. Not argue in a bad way, just kind of like seeing the same thing from two different perspectives and then share it and learn from each other. So they end up being buried even in the same cave. And we went in, we were few people, and this person's relatives stayed upstairs. I mean, there were many stairs. Probably that individual didn't want to go all those stairs down. It was a little dark, So coincidentally, of course we know there's no such a thing, there were two candles there, and we left all our candles in another place. So we went there and we saw those two candles, and we started reading the Zohar. And while we were reading the Zohar, I saw that one of the people there was suddenly listening to something. And I noticed that this individual is listening to something while I don't think any one of us heard anything. So I was asking, are you hearing something? And that individual said, yes, I hear two people talking. So we started listening, and we heard two people talking. So this individual that I specifically took to that place said, oh, probably it's my relative upstairs speaking with someone. And we hear clearly two people speaking, and I had a feeling that it wasn't up there, rather it was down there. And the one we heard speaking were those two Kabbalists that, of course, died thousands of years ago, but they are talking, they are very alive. And I mentioned it, and he was laughing. And then, we heard like the sound that a helicopter is doing. How the helicopter propeller makes that vibration, that the whole air vibrates. Well, we knew that there was an army base outside, so we figured out probably there's a helicopter. But I said, how does the sound of the helicopter and the vibration goes all the way down here? I mean, we're very deep in that cave. And then we kind of like speaking, and we stopped reading the Zohar, and we heard a voice says, come on. And that individual says, we're coming, thinking it's coming from upstairs. And I had a feeling it doesn't come from upstairs. And I realized that it was from downstairs. And that voice kept saying, come on. And we all start laughing. There was a feeling of like joy and fulfillment. Later on, when we went upstairs, that relative swear that there was no helicopter and that there was no one speaking up there. And we kind of like realized that we heard the two Kabbalists that were there speaking, and we actually felt we made a connection with them, and we did get the energy. Only years after I realized that that vibration that I felt and heard was actually angels' wings. And that was just my first experience with angels. And then, I realized that if I need to talk about angels in some classes, if I need to teach about it, I have a problem, because I don't like to share things I didn't actually see. And how can I talk about angels, and how can I say to people, there are angels, while I myself never saw them? So I start asking the light to see an angel. And I keep asking, and nothing shows up. 3 years after, 3 years it took, I think maybe 2 or 3 years it took, that one day, living in New York City, I was driving down the FDR. If you don't know, it's the highway on the east side of Manhattan. And usually there is a traffic when you get to a certain point where East End Avenue kind of like crossing the FDR. And the traffic is very, very slow. And I know it, but I know from experience that the right lane is faster. So I'm taking the right lane. And just before the underpass, I'm about to move to the left, knowing that that's going to be faster. And they're, driving very slow, maybe 5 miles an hour, almost bumper to bumper. I see this thing, I don't know how to call it, wearing white, tall, skinny. You don't know if it's a woman or it's a man, with a short blonde hair, huge white wings behind, holding a sign, looking at me, smiling, holding a sign that says, "Have a nice day." So I'm looking at it, trying to wonder, is she wants money? I mean, is this a money thing? And this costume thing, is just to attract people attention? Because it looks weird, come on. I mean, you're standing seeing it like maybe 10 feet away. And I'm looking and trying to figure out, is there a camera there? Maybe they're filming some commercial, I don't know, something. And I wonder how other drivers look at it. So I turn my head to see what other drivers are doing. I mean, you can't miss it. And I see everyone facing straight, driving the car, and nobody turned their head. I got so scared, I didn't dare to look back, because I knew that it wasn't commercial. And I knew that it wasn't about anything I know until that point. I was so scared at that point, I didn't look back. But what I did, I started panically calling my wife, asking her to put the TV on and look at all the channels if something is going on. And we couldn't find a thing. And I shared that story many times in New York while I was teaching there for 9 years, hoping that someone would come and say, "Moshe, I saw it too. It was a commercial." Never happened. Never happened. And it was so hard for me, as a very down-to-earth individual, to accept such a thing. But that was my experience. So I don't know what some of you experienced, but that's how I actually saw or heard an angel, knowing now they do exist. But let's suppose there are angels. Let's say they are existing. What are they for? What are they for? What do we use them for? Why are they there? What's their purpose in this world? That's maybe another question we need to answer. Angels, according to Kabbalah, are messengers. They kind of like carrying messages. They are kind of like delivery agents. I mean, if there is the spiritual UPS or mail office, they are the one. They are the one that are carrying specific kind of energy or connecting between the spiritual reality, between energy and the physical reality. They are the in-between. So they must look maybe somehow physical or human to connect them to the physical reality, and they must have some spiritual appearance in the same time. Because when you want to connect two things, the connector, the conductor must have of both worlds. And this is what angels are. They are connecting between us and spiritual levels. So they kind of like being spiritual chariots, if we can call them that way, that carry on any kind of energy that is required to be delivered to a certain people, individual, place, or environment. Some of them are good, some of them carry good energy, some of them carry bad energy. Because they are just the carrier, the messenger, the channels that brings in energy. You may ask, why do we need them? Why do we need them? Because the energy that you get in your house, if it's electricity, must go through wires. Something must connect it from the power station to your appliance. And in between the power station and your appliances, there must be a transformer. The purpose of the transformer is that when you put in the electric socket a refrigerator that requires tremendous amount of electricity, or a small electric bulb, both would get exactly what they need, not more, not too much, and not too less. Will not burn the bulb and will supply all the intensity the refrigerator requires. So that's why angels exist. So when we want to connect to energy, or when we send energy to other people, angels carry the energy, carry the message. So when a Kabbalist would have a question about life, a question about some study, a question about reality, a question about what to do, a question about what's right or wrong, the Kabbalist would ask from his angel to show him the right answer. So when we want to get the right answers, we want to use angels. We want to know about them. There are many, many kind of angels. Especially when you pray, you use angels. The angels bring you the energy or elevates your message, your connection to the right level. So when you read the Zohar, there are a few volumes that in them there is hundreds of names of angels. Some of them are in charge of sustenance. Some of them will be in charge on healing. Some of them will be in charge on a specific success and understanding. So the more we know about them, the more we learn their names and their destiny, the more we can use them, the more we will be able to communicate with them. When we send healing to someone, it could be a close person, could be someone we just want to share with, and we're thinking about medicine and we use maybe the 72 names to send healing or anything else we know, there is an angel that takes that energy and deliver it to that individual. There are some bad angels. The bad angels take the words that we say in time of anger, in time of depression, in time of lack of hope and lack of certainty. They take the words we bring out of our mouth and takes it to the wrong place and use it later on when we are interested on succeeding. They can use it later on, and then it will be a blockage. So they are like waiting. There's good angels and bad angels, always waiting for good word, waiting for, good things that we say, waiting for what comes out of our mouth. Tremendously amount of what the angels do depend on what we say. So angels are created also by our actions, good actions or bad actions. When I say created, that means being activated. When we have good deeds or we have bad deeds, they would take the good energy or the bad energy and will deliver it to wherever it required. It will either strengthen our opponent, or it will communicate us with the light. There are much higher level of angels on Saturday. It's easier to communicate with them on Saturday and holidays, and therefore, what you saw, Sasha, that purple light could be the angels, very much. That could be there, around everyone, delivering that energy, giving it to everyone that was around. That could be what you saw, especially when you talk about purple light. We can ask the angels. We can ask them for help. We can ask them for guidance. We can ask them for success, to connect us to whatever we would like to help us see things, to help us understand things. That's what we can do with angels. We can even ask the angels, especially Friday night, when we sing the Lecha Dodi. That is one of the more designated song related to angels. And we sing and we say the words angels. And we mention different kind of them. The peace angels and other and the serving angels, which is Malachei Asharet. We can ask them at that point to be with us during the entire week and make sure that we make the right choices, make sure we go the right path, make sure we think right and we speak right. So they can be there with us. And therefore, if you feel on Saturday or you feel in holidays, suddenly entities around you, and you feel that you're like not alone, and you feel like that there is something there, that there is like energy there, there is kind of like support there, those are the angels. You are experiencing them. You feel them. You sense them. Maybe you can't see them, but you definitely sense them. So let them in. Open yourself to it. Don't be afraid. Don't hesitate. Don't try to figure out where it comes from, why you feel that way. Many people come to us Friday night. They feel great. They leave with more fulfillment, more content, and more satisfaction than we came. We feel more fulfilled. That is because there is a presence of angels that we invite on Friday night more than other times. And therefore, we can go home with more energy that will stay with us for the entire week, helping us with the different missions and the different obstacles, overcoming changes that we need to create during the week. We really surrounded, if we at least make sure we are pure and that we are positive and that we are sharing and that we are restricting and being proactive, we are most of the time surrounded with good angels. Those people that are more reactive and selfish and use bad words and send bad energy are most of the time surrounded with negative angels around them. Most of the time that would lead them in that way. So we want to actually connect to the good ones, and ask them to help us. Some famous angels are like Michael, Michael, which is an archangel that is more in charge on sharing and giving. So when we want to be able more to share and to come from a place where we don't do it with agenda, with a personal agenda and with selfish reasons, but we want to share from our heart, the angel, the archangel Michael can help us. It's also the numerical value of 101 that Michael value in numerical value, and therefore we use that number many times when we do some actions of sharing. Then we have another archangel, which is Gabriel. Gabriel is an angel of judgment. You know, Gabriel comes from the word gvura, and it means judgment. That is required too. We need to be shaken up a little bit sometime, maybe many times. We need someone to kind of like wake us up and say, hey, stop taking things for granted. Stop thinking that you're already there, that you arrived. You know, keep doing your job. Keep moving on. Keep growing. Keep elevating. And Gabriel will do that job. The angel Raphael, which comes from the word refuah, which means healing, is the one in charge of healing. And Uriel or Nuriel is another archangel. All of these are archangel, is in charge of balance, to help us be able to restrict and to be able to be proactive and go beyond, do the extra mile. Be strong with it, have certainty about it. That is Uriel or Nuriel. Now, probably if you study Kabbalah, you connect to angels, even if you are not aware of it and you don't necessarily sense it or hear it or see it, you are surrounded with angels. But you can definitely connect to them more than you already do. Okay, you can get more connected. How do we get more connected to the angels? That's our next questions. Well, one of the way is to talk to them. We need to talk to them, even though we might feel that they don't answer. So, of course, the desire to see them, it's one, but that's apparently not enough. We need to start talking to them like we know that they are there. And it might be that for some time we're not going to get any answer. Please make a note right here that you're not going to do it out loud at your place of work or in the street. I mean, in the street it's okay. Just put like something that look like a, an earpiece. Then you're good. You can talk to yourself. You can talk to the angels, and nobody would even think that you are not okay. You can go ahead and do it. After, might be a while, might be immediately, might be immediately, but it might take a while. Then you would hear a little voice that's speaking back to you. And that is your, that's one of the angels that you wanted to talk to. And the only problem that you might have with it is that you might not like what they're going to tell you. They might tell you things you don't want to hear, and you're afraid to hear, and you try to suppress and not to listen to. But it's maybe very important for you to hear that. One other thing that might help a lot to do that would be lighting candles and doing some meditation. And in your meditation, just relax, do some breathing, then go to some place where you feel comfortable and you feel great and you feel relaxed and calm and loose and safe, where you can really be who you are. And then try to talk to your angel. then try to talk to your angels. Okay? That could also help. You know, some people might find it even possible by reading poetry. You know, reading poetry can do the trick too, because, you know, poetry is songs, poetry is something that we know the angels are so connected to joy and happiness. Of course, those are the one we want to connect to, and not the other kind. And if not, the poetry could definitely help us relax and become calm and go more inward, deep inside, and that, you know, that perfection will maybe help us to talk to our angel. So that also could help. Does this make sense? Okay? Yes.
I would like to know, so in the first class you told us to talk to the light. Now you tell us to talk to the angels. Is that the same thing?
That is now more detailed message. Meaning before we were speaking generally about what the sixth sense is, so definitely class number 1 was general. Now we get to the details of how it happens. Absolutely. Yes, Jeremy.
When you say your angels, do we have like one?
We do have guardian angels. We do have guardian angels. We do have 2 angels always supporting us, always being there if we act right too, at least. But there could be way more. But those could be like our own personal angels that are always there for us. But there could be many other angels that could help you. But with those, you can definitely talk. And they can tell you a lot. They can tell you a lot about many things. Yes?
See, actually, it's kind of like 2 questions. The positive or negative angels we create, do they only affect us because we created them, or can they affect others too?
When you say we create them, you know, they are really existing already. I mean, the word creating them does appear in the Zohar and in other places, like we create the angels. But I don't think we create them as much as awaken them. Because when we need energy, or energy needs to be delivered, then that specific vessel for it, or messenger for it, you know, UPS delivery, spiritual delivery guy needs to be awakened, and then they are becoming active. That's how it works. Yes. I'm sorry? No. Angels, okay, good question. Angels are not people. Angels are not souls of people. Angels are chariots for energy, vessels for energy, messengers. They're not souls of people. They don't have a correction. They don't come to the world. They don't need to come to the world. They don't need to correct themselves. There is no such a thing. They are there to be used for our benefit. Or unfortunately, if we're not doing right, another way. Yes?
You mentioned that the angel has a human part and a spiritual part.
That they look human. They look human, but they're not human. You know, when they appear in biblical sources, we learn that they showed up to people and that they look like people. And there are many, I mean, I can go to many places where the Zohar explain about them. And they always appear in a human form, yet they're not. They're not really human. But they need to have some form of earthly connection. And therefore they appear that way. But they have no physicality whatsoever.
Can they come to test you and you'll think?
No, angels are not testing anybody. Angels are messengers of energy. They deliver energy. They never test anyone. They're not from the, government office of tests. They are from the post office. They're from the post office. The spiritual post office. That's what they are used for. That's their power. That's their energy. If they are surrounding us, it's because we are using them to connect to energy and we activating them. Yes, in the back.
If angels are basically just messengers, why do they call them intelligent entities?
You presume that they call them in some name. I never called that name. Yes.
Yeah. If we ask our angel for an answer, and can they provoke someone else, a spiritual person, to deliver the answer to you in many ways? It happened to me 2 weeks ago at the center, and many times with teachers. And I feel that it's not a simple, a mere coincidence. It's something. I asked for this answer, and here is the answer in a form that I never.
Okay. You bring me to my next subject. I mean, I'm still finishing the idea of how do we connect, how do we communicate to angels. So just to complete that concept, there's few things. Positive speaking in a good way, in a positive way, in a good words, in kind words. That's what make connection to angels. Or words of Zohar, reading Kabbalah, reading something that have great energy in it. To listen. If we listen to everybody, we then have a chance to be able to hear the angels. But it requires of us to be great listeners. And if we know everything, and if we don't listen, there's a lesser chance that we will be able to hear the angels' messages. Humility, humbleness. With a great ego, very hard to connect to angels, because they have no ego at all. They have nothing of their own. The purest channel have no ego. It's exactly the opposite of ego. So the more we work on our ego, the more chance we have to connect with the angels. We need also to ask their help. We need to actually be interested and ask them to show up and help us. And then that would also bring them. That will be a reason for them to come. Now, sometimes people tell you that they see all the angels, and they tell you how angels are talking to them, and they see them and talk to them. You know, it might be true. It might be true. But it depends. If you see that that person doesn't act like an angel, if that person doesn't look like an angel, you know how sometimes you tell to people, you look like an angel, right? And, oh my God, you're so good, you're like an angel. When you say it about someone, they definitely connect to angels. That is the indication. If someone tells you, you look like an angel. If someone tells you, I feel you're like my angel, you know that you are connected to angels. That is the indication for you to know that you are actually connected to them. It has to come from outside and not from within, you know, saying to yourself, I got the angels. You know, that's not necessarily true. So this is it about angels, and you got me into my next thing. My next thing is even more powerful than angel. There is the ultimate level of sixth sense. And it doesn't matter where you come from, who you are, where you were born, what religion you believe in, and what color of your skin is. We are talking about Elijah the prophet. Who is Elijah the prophet? Who is he? According to the biblical sources, Elijah was a prophet in the 9th century. He appeared in the Talmud, he appeared in the Mishnah, he appears in some of the prophets, he appears in the New Testament, and and he appeared in the Quran. In all those places, they speak about Elijah the prophet. According to the book of Kings, Elijah raised the dead, have the ability to raise the dead, bring fire from heaven, and go up to heaven when he finishes his job in a chariot of fire and horse of fire. In the book of Malachias, which in Hebrew it's Malachi, it says that he will come, and let me quote, before the coming of the great and terrible day of the Lord. That's what it says. And then it says he would be the harbinger of the Messiah, the pronouncer of the coming of the Messiah. This is biblical sources. His name is used in circumcision. His name is used at the end of Saturday in the action called Havdalah, to kind of like move into the weekdays. He appears in the story of Passover in the Haggadah. He appears in Christianity. Jesus and John the Baptist both are somehow referred to, or kind of like what's the word? Kind of being like Elijah, compared, maybe the word is compared to Elijah. In the Baha'i religion, he's mentioned. In the folklore of Serbia, Macedonia, and Bulgaria. What do they have with Elijah? It seems to be everyone in the world kind of like related to Elijah, the prophet. So we need to ask, who is this Elijah the prophet? I mean, if he lived in the 9th century, what are we doing with him today? How do we relate to him today? According to Kabbalah, Elijah the prophet is energy. It is not a person. It is not an individual. It is definitely energy. It definitely related to a soul. According to Kabbalah, according to the Zohar, Elijah started his spiritual path as Pinchas, the son of Eleazar, the high priest. And that happened in the wilderness when the Israelites were there walking in the wilderness. And because of his actions, it says that he became an angel that is called Elijah the prophet. Well, there was actually a human being called Elijah the prophet, and apparently he is a reincarnation of this soul of Pinchas. Because of his actions, became an angel and came as Elijah. Now, what did Pinchas do that made him to become an angel? He sacrificed his life for other people, for the life of other people. Pinchas saw, and this is very important to remember, he saw the mistakes, and he saw the nonsense, the stupidities that the Israelites were doing. He saw that. And they did some great mistakes. And he decided deep inside that he didn't care. That he doesn't care what they did. He doesn't care how much punishment, what kind of judgment supposed to deserve to them because of what they did. He didn't care. He saw them as poor people. And he didn't care how much pain and misery supposed to be afflicted on them. He said, they are like poor people that need my help, and I don't care to lose my life for them. He actually sacrificed his life for them. So it seems to be that there was a whole argument between the Creator and Pinchas that is telling the Creator that He doesn't care, how much punishment and judgment and pain and suffering and darkness supposed to be afflicted on them. He doesn't care. They are poor and they need His help, and He's there to save them. And it seems to be like the argument got so heated up that the angels wanted to push Pinchas away, because he actually wanted to upend the whole spiritual system of good and bad, of payment and punishment. Because there are rules in the spiritual path. And if you act in a certain way, that is a cause and a reason for either benefit or punishment, according to the individual action. And it seems to be he wanted to upend the whole thing and create something different. Now, as a result of acting that way, he became an angel. And he became an energy, a force, that whenever there is judgment, whenever there is darkness, whenever there is pain, whenever there is misery that's supposed to affect an individual because of that individual's actions, if a person work on himself, if a person correct himself and try to become a Kabbalist, that soul, that energy become available, become revealed right there and then, and help that individual not to be affected. And then whatever bad that was supposed to come, whatever chaos, whatever negativity that was supposed to happen, is totally changed and reversed. And that's what we call a miracle. So when a miracle happens, it is always the energy of Elijah that was Pinchas that become available, become manifested, become revealed, and change everything. Even death. Even if death was supposed to take place. So whenever you say, I had a miracle happened, Elijah was there. Elijah was involved and took care of the situation. There's nothing else that can do that same job. Not even angels. Not even angels. Now, there are many stories about it. I mean, everyone that study Kabbalah can share a million stories of miracles, how everything suddenly upend and totally reverse and big miracle happen. You should know that what you experienced was Elijah the prophet that became available and revealed to you. Now, because Elijah can totally reverse and change the spiritual system of right and wrong, good and bad, miracle happened while he appeared. And not only that, Elijah seems to be the only thing that can get us to the final purpose of our existence. And without him, we would never be able to achieve the final correction, the ultimate correction, and the level of neshama, which is the higher grade of soul we need to achieve. So to get to our final correction, we will never be able to without Elijah. And therefore it says about the day before the coming of the great and terrible day of the Lord. It's not about the Lord. It's about the greatest day for us, where the greatest light, that we can achieve appear, that we can do only with the energy called Elijah. So it seems to be it's important to get to him, and it's important to communicate with him. I don't know if we are ready for him. I don't know if we are there in that stage, but definitely we might, and we definitely should try to get some help from him. Even if it's not the end of our correction, definitely to reverse any kind of judgment or darkness or pain or misery that's supposed to be afflicted on us because of our doings, because of our sayings, because of our behavior. So that's why we want to connect to Elijah. Now, how does Elijah become available to us? How do we get connected to him? It takes 3 stages for him to become revealed to us. The first revelation is an inner one. Inner one in a sense that you're not necessarily going to feel that it is Elijah. But it is whenever we kind of like having an inner power, an inner awakening, some urge of good energy from within to share with others, to help others, to give others in a way we never ever did before. That is from Elijah the prophet. Now you maybe thought it was me. Now I'm sorry to break the news to you. It wasn't you. It was Elijah that you were connected to because of your great desire, because of many things that I will mention in a minute that are required, that was there to help you make that miracle in you, which is that change. Any change we decide about, any restriction that we wanted to do for a long time, sometimes it's so hard. You want to restrict food, you want to restrict cigarettes, you want to restrict drinking, you want to restrict alcohol, you want to restrict, different things in your life, and you don't get to it. And one day, suddenly, that miracle happened. But that means that Elijah became available to you, became revealed to you, but in inner way. Also when we gave up something like so strong, so much against our nature, something we let go, money that we gave in a great way, it all comes from the help of Elijah the prophet. Does that make sense? Now, the second stage of revelation is a stage where Elijah appears in a form of wisdom and understanding. That wisdom of understanding that we never ever had before. Something that suddenly becomes so clear to you about people, about life, about your purpose, about your destiny, about your job, about decision. Suddenly, when something click, when suddenly there is clarity, that's another way Elijah will appear. It could also be in a study, in some learning. You can try to read Zohar for many, many years. And I always remember this individual, many years ago, was a student of the center, and for many years, being Israeli, knowing Hebrew, didn't make any difference, could not understand what the Zohar says. Reading it back and forth, never understand. Then one day, being in Hong Kong, being in a hotel, opening at night the Zohar, trying to read, and suddenly hear like steam coming out of his ears. That was the way he described it. And whatever he reads in the Zohar become clear to him. Now, that is a revelation of Elijah. That energy, that miracle, that suddenly everything that is blocked, everything that is closed opens up. That's the power of Elijah in the second stage. The third stage only appear after we actually understood the source of all those positive things in our life. That it's not really us, that it has to do with Elijah. Give Elijah the credit, understand where it comes from, appreciate it, and even ask for more of it to come. Only then, realizing that without Elijah, we can grow beyond. And we can move to our next level. Sometimes we struggle and we either become numb or take the flat, reality and keep going the same and not even try beyond. But the more we understand that we need Elijah, and without him we can't grow, and we actually made a change in our desire to receive for oneself alone, not being that selfish as we always been, and doing more restriction and sharing in a way we never shared before. Only then would appear the ultimate connection to Elijah, which will be in a physical way. And Elijah will actually appear in a physical form and will actually speak with us. Now, you might ask, how do I know it's Elijah? If he shows up, how do I know it's him? I have a story to share with you. Story of one of the team member of the Kabbalah Center. Wasn't me. This girl was in her beginning being a chevre, being a staff member in the Kabbalah Center. And in those days, it was way more tough than today. Live beyond, all your desires and all your wishes, and feel that you really have one purpose in the world, and that's helping others and changing the world, and dedicate your life for it. That, of course, would then grant you with everything you want, and even beyond what you want, but it was very tough. And she was in the beginning of her way, and in the beginning, because it was so tough, she didn't feel good. She didn't feel good. It was very tough, and you didn't feel good even though you knew it's the right thing to do. And she described it in that time that she feel like an empty bottle. Those were the words she used. At that day, she went to a stand that we opened in a fair. And we went to different fair, and we opened a booth, and we put books, and we got people interested, coming and being interested. And an old man approached, very wrinkled, his skin like a parchment. Old, very old, but with amazing eyes, open and lid and shining eyes. She said, amazing eyes that give light. Look at the books. And he asked if she read the reincarnation book. She said, yes, I did. And then she answered, did you read the reincarnation book? And he answered and said, I know the author. Well, the author is the Rav. And she didn't ask too much about it, because at that point he looked at her straight in her eyes, and he said, and I'm quoting what he said to her, it is good to be like an empty bottle, because then the light can fill you up. And if you feel fulfilled and content, there's no place for the light. And he added, don't worry. In a few months, you would look at this time as a blessing, and everything is going to be okay. And without saying goodbye, he vanished. She looked for him and he was gone. That was definitely Elijah, that appears in a physical form. And maybe then, at that time, she didn't know. But that can maybe direct us a little bit about how does Elijah appear. Maybe we get a better answer by first realizing what is required of us to have Elijah revealed to us in a physical sense. It says in the Zohar that in the time that there is judgment on the individual, meaning that something bad is supposed to happen, pain, misery, darkness, either to the person, to his health, to his family, to his business, to his money, or to his environment, the light at that point send the individual a gift. That gift meant to help that individual nullify the judgment, the sickness, the pain, the misery, or even the death. That gift. According to the Zohar, that gift is a poor individual. That's what the light sent us. A poor individual. The poor individual can appear in so many ways. Male, female, million different ways. We will never know. We will never know. And therefore we need to watch for it. Because that poor man that you are helping is basically help you to save you from all the judgment, all the chaos, the darkness, the pain, and even death. If you help that individual. Now, it seems to be that we're talking about a person that is homeless, hungry, have no money. That's what it sounds when we say a poor individual. Apparently, Elijah the prophet, and that's I heard from the Rav himself, always ask for one thing. For bread. That's what he is asking. And that's how you know it's Elijah. And if someone comes to you and asks for bread, you ask him for a blessing. And you ask him to bless you. And you ask him to help you. And that's one of the signs. So, in addition to Elijah, we also heard from Michael Berg in Shabbat that was sharing that those poor men, poor people that we are talking about could be those individuals in our life that we came to the conclusion that they don't deserve our help, our love, our money, our time, our advice. And those could be the poor people that we want to help. So that is a prerequisite to get Elijah to us. And when Elijah comes, you might not recognize him as being Elijah. He might not look like it, but his eyes always going to tell you the truth. That's it, my friend. This is the sixth sense, and I wish the best for you.